What's up, YouTube? Welcome to yet another episode of the MMA Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. I really appreciate you. Second upload of the week. If you haven't already, go check out the previous upload. It was me breaking down UFC 304 and what happened, what went down, and I talk about what's next for the fighters. So definitely go check that out if you haven't. As always, don't forget, leave that like and hit the subscribe button, bro. Thank you so much. If you do that, you guys will help me out tremendously. But yeah, man, today we're going to be talking about UFC Fight Night over there in Abu Dhabi, being headlined by the man himself, Mr. Cory the Sandman Sandhagen, going up against Umar Nurmagomedov. So, should be a pretty damn interesting fight. And I'll break down some of the other fighters as well. You know, we have fucking Tony Ferguson in that card. We have Shahr Magomedov. We have Chito Vera versus Davidson. So those all should be interesting fights, by the way. This fight night, this card, it's stacked. I dare say it's more stacked than some of the previous pay-per-views we've had. I don't know, but this one is pretty good. Big names, OGs, you know, new blood in here, so it's great to see. We can start with the main event. We do have, like I said, Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. This fight has been a lot of time in the makings. You know, it was supposed to happen really, I think, like a year or two ago. But then I believe Umar pulled out because he was injured. I like Cory. I like his mentality that he's at right now. I was watching an interview with him, and he was just talking about how he doesn't care that Umar is ranked lower than him. He doesn't care that, he's not necessarily up next for a title eliminator fight, you know, for a number one contender fight, since Umar is like ranked number 10. That's not Cory's mentality. Cory's mentality is like, hey, look, I don't care about the rankings. Umar is a guy that is scary and everybody in the division is avoiding. So I want to fight that guy because once I get the belt, his mentality is that once he gets the belt, he'll be able to say, I own this belt. I fought the best. I took no shortcuts. I fought the best of the division, the scariest guys, and that's how I got to this point. And yeah, man, that is fantastic. You know, it's sucks and it's unfortunate that the UFC is in a state where it has to be like that, where a guy like Cory Sandhagen has to take a longer route to the title. Because Cory has been defeating top 5 ranked contenders, you know, for years now. For years. He did have a couple of losses. He lost to TJ Dillashaw on a very close split decision. Obviously, he got choked out by Aljo. He lost to Peter Yan, I believe, as well. But ever since then, he has been on fire. He's on a 3-fight winning streak right now, coming off of a win with Rob Font. And that is an interesting fight against Rob Font because Cory was talking about this too in the interview that, you know, we're so used to him being this super talented, super flashy striker. I mean, he had 2 fights in a row that he won against Frankie Edgar. He had the flying knee, which was insane flying knee, just flattened Frankie Edgar. Before that, he had the fight against Marlon Moraes, who knocked him out with a perfect spinning kick. I mean, it was insane. So we're used to seeing those crazy finishes from the Sandman, right? And he was talking about how, look, listen, yes, I'm good as striker, but however, I'm not interested in being the best striker. I'm interested in being the best MMA fighter. So comes his fight with Rob Font. What happens? Cory cannot strike because he either breaks or dislocates his, I think it's his tricep or his elbow, somewhere over here. I'm not sure. But he fucks that up, right? So he's forced now to not strike as much and take the fight to the ground, which he was able to. He got the dub flawlessly against Rob Font by taking the fight to the ground. So that gives me hope, okay? That gives me hope because, yes, if you look at the B side of this fight, you have Umar Nurmagomedov, who obviously from Dagestan, obviously has that scary last name that gives a lot of fighters PTSD, Nurmagomedov, every time they hear it. That's why they've been dodging him. I mean, let's be honest. That's why a lot of fighters been dodging Umar, is because he's from Dagestan and his last name is Nurmagomedov. So you would expect him to then, this is different because it's almost the same as Cory. You would expect him for him to be primarily a wrestler, but, I haven't seen a ton of his fights, but the ones that I've seen, he's a pretty good striker. He mixes it up pretty damn well. The one fight that I did watch, it was him against who was it? Barcellos? Barcellos, sorry. He won that fight. He won that fight really well by knockout, but was mixing up the striking beautifully. He had a beautiful front kick to the face and then sometimes to the chest. That's how he was kind of testing some of that distancing and just getting his distance established. He had some beautiful jabs, powerful jabs, where he steps in and out super fast. Steps in, jabs you, steps out immediately. I mean, beautifully done. So yeah, I'm expecting this fight to be a highly competitive MMA fight. I'm expecting to see both of these guys competing on the feet, hitting each other, going back and forth, having those exchanges that usually makes the fight super, obviously more exciting. But then also I expect to mix it up, level change, you know what I mean? Go for a takedown. And I'm excited to see how Cory is able to respond to that. And if he, Cory was obviously starting his career primarily a striker. He did say that this last couple of years, he has obviously been focusing a lot on his wrestling ever since he got submitted by Aljamain Sterling. However, is it enough? Is it enough? If you focus on wrestling for a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years, right? Is it enough to go against a dude that is just a pure Sambo wrestler like Umar, that's probably been doing it since he was a little kid, and grew up in Dagestan, which we know their style of wrestling is insane pressure. And what makes it beautiful is that they figure out a way to play with the balance of the grappling, and they make you tired, they exhaust you. They make it so that if you're trying to get back up and you're trying to get out underneath them, you get exhausted because they're putting their whole body weight on you, and their understanding of balance, it's insane. It's crazy. So it's good. This is a tough fight to make a prediction for, bro. I'll tell you that right now. It's tough. It's very, very tough. I'm a huge fan of Cory. I thought that he was kind of robbed in that TJ Dillashaw fight. I thought he did enough to stretch out that dub. But again, in that fight against TJ, the main thing is that I think he lost that fight because he let TJ take his bag quite a few times. So he cannot do that against Umar, bro. That will cost him the fight, the decision, and probably get choked out if you let Umar on your back. So really, if Cory is able to polish those takedown defenses and keep it on the feet, I think I'll give the fight to Cory. I hope this is. I'm nervous because on the last video I uploaded, I said, "Don't be a pussy, don't give a broad, fucking prediction. Get technical, challenge yourself, and get technical and say the method and what round." So for Cory, I'm gonna predict the third round knockout or TKO if it happens. I hope that's what happens in order to make the fight interesting. I hope that's what I want to see. How about that? I'm not being a realist, sir, because if I'm being a realist, then I'll say Umar by decision. Umar, just controlling Cory, maybe stuffing some of Cory's striking on the feet, and then Cory getting frustrated, but then Umar also wrestles him. I think realistically that's what happens. But as a fan and as a fanboy of Cory, that I love him, I love to watch him fight. I want to see him getting a flashy knockout, because the real fight that I want to see is him versus Sean O'Malley. I think that's a striking clinic. And listen, if Umar loses this fight, it's okay. You still have a long way to go. Cory, he still has a long way to go too. Don't get me wrong, he's not older. Cory's 32 years old and Umar is 28. So they're both young still. Nobody here is like on their last leg or anything like that. But Cory has been up there for a while, bro. So I would love for him to finally get that opportunity. And again, you tell me that a fight versus between Cory and Sean O'Malley wouldn't be a fantastic, striking fucking fight. I mean, that would be one for the fans, bro. That's one for the fans. But being realistic, I think what more than likely could happen is that, like I said, Umar, with his great understanding of distance, is able to stuff some of Cory's striking and maybe have some success on the feet himself, but then also take down Cory and pressure him from there for a while, therefore getting a win by decision. I don't know, maybe a submission. If it happens, I would say it happens in the third round. You know, I think both of these guys are too good to give a fight. You know, also another thing that I want to talk about too is that Cory has more experience with the 5-round fights. This is Umar's first time being in a 5-round fight, I think. But yeah, it has to be, right? Let me check. Yeah. Third round. Yeah. Yeah, he's never gone to a 4th or 5th round. So yeah, this is his first time fighting a 5-round fight, a main event. It makes sense. And Cory's been there. You know, he had that war with TJ Dillashaw. That was a 5-round war, I think. Let me double check again. Yeah, 5-round war. Then after that, he had a fight with Peter Yan. That was 4 rounds. Sorry, that was also 5 rounds. And then the fight against Song Yadong was also 4 rounds. So 5 rounds against Chito Vera, 5 rounds against Rob Font. Like, he has that experience going for him. So, okay, so let me go back to another criteria. The way I kind of say who's going to win or predict who's going to win is who has more tools to win, right? In this case, that will be Umar, because I believe I give him the striking tools, but also the grappling and submission tools. I give Cory only the striking tools. I'm not saying he's not a good wrestler. He's a fantastic wrestler. But against a Dagestani, bro, that their last name is Nurmagomedov, it's tough. It's going to be tough. He can do it. He could do it. I'm not saying that he could do it, but okay. So I'm going to stop yapping. Official prediction is, I'm going to give you 2. Cory Sandhagen by 3rd round KO, TKO or KO, or Umar Nurmagomedov by 3rd round submission or by decision. And I'm gonna say like a split decision too. And I'm gonna make this saucy. I'm gonna make it interesting. A split decision might be cool. Let me take a sip of water here. But next we have Shara, the pirate, Magomedov versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Oleksiejczuk, he fought not too long ago, right? Yeah, he lost in June. Wow, pretty recently in June against Kevin Holland. It's funny because Shara was calling out Kevin Holland after his last fight. I'm surprised they didn't give him that fight. I thought that would be a good fight. Maybe they didn't think that he deserved it because Kevin is currently ranked, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, he's ranked 15. So Shara, this being his 3rd fight in the UFC, it makes sense that they're not giving him a top 15 guy. That makes sense at all. But when he said that then and there, I was like, "Ooh, that's a great fight." Shara Magomedov, who again, another Russian Dagestani dude, but the difference here now is that he is the opposite. He's primarily a striker. He doesn't do a lot of wrestling on his fights, and actually when he has, it's questionable. He doesn't have the best wrestling, but a phenomenal striker. Funny enough, only has one eye if you haven't seen him. But yeah, this is only his 3rd fight in the UFC. He has a great hype behind him. Let's see, he won his last 2 fights by KO in this 3rd round. Oh yeah, that fight against Tricoli, it was a good fight. I think he was struggling on the fight against Tricoli. I think that couldn't really get going. I gave Tricoli, I think, the second round, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and watch it, but definitely Tricoli had a one round. And then Shara just knocked him out in the third round, taking the judges out of the equation. I thought that was a pretty great performance, but it showed some adversity, right? It showed now that, okay, this guy had to walk a little bit through fire. He's not just fucking ramming through people like most people that have hype, like, you know, like a Hamzat or something like that, or like a fucking Islam. Those guys usually that have hype, you know, that are primarily wrestlers, they're just ramming through people, right? But no, Shara had to go through some adversity, and that went out good. And his first fight was only a decision win also, so, you know, it's not like he's finishing guys in the first round. So definitely a pretty interesting fighter to watch. Mikal, I believe he is coming off, a couple losses. Yeah, lost against Holland. This lost against Pereira. Oof, those are two back-to-back bad fights to have, bro. Michel Pereira and then Kevin Holland. That's, feels bad. But, you know, if I had to make a prediction for this one, just because he has the hype and he has the momentum, I'm going to say Shara Magomedov. It's tough to call out how he's going to win. Like I said, he's not really a wrestler. So I'm seeing a knockout. I'm sensing here. I'm sensing here a second round TKO. No, you know what? Fuck that. First round TKO. Let's go there. I think Shara has momentum. I think that's the only way to put it. He's a great striker. He has momentum. He does need to work on his defense, and he does need to work on his takedown defense as well. So if Mikal, sorry, but if you, hopefully, if he has been practicing some of his takedowns, that could be a way to go against Shara, you know, explore his weaknesses in the wrestling game and maybe make him uncomfortable there. But obviously, every fight starts on the feet, so I give Shara, obviously, the striking advantage. And I think that's how it's going to go. I think it's going to go first or second round KO. Like, Shara right now is building his portfolio, bro. Like, if we see third, fourth, fifth fight of Sean O'Malley in the UFC, like, they have flashy knockouts because usually they have skills, but, you know, they have skills of a top contender, but they're not there just yet. They have to face some of these lower guys. And I'm not saying these lower guys suck. There obviously some of them are fantastic, but some of them are also like, okay, well, you know, maybe you gotta be in Bellator. Maybe you gotta be. I'm not saying this is the case with Michal, by the way. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying when someone has a big hype like that and it's coming up the ranks, usually we see those flashy knockouts and we see those first round finishes. We haven't seen it so far from Shara. Like I said, he only has a third round KO and then a decision. But it's only his third fight, bro. It's only his third fight. Only he's finding his form right now. So now that he has the momentum, like I said, maybe he'll actually use it and wow us all. And I think that'll be good. It'll be good. Make yourself more talked about, you know, increase your popularity and get paid at the, you know, because that gives them more leverage to then go to the UFC and say, look, I'm a big name. I get these great knockouts. I want more money. So yeah, but he has a long way to go before he fights in the ranked opponent. So Kevin Holland was a good idea, but looking at it now and then look at how fucking stacked this division is of welterweight, I think that it's smart, you know, maybe give him a few more unranked people, and then if he makes it look easy or if he goes to some adversity, let's give him the 15 or 14 guys, so either Kevin Holland or MVP or one of those guys. So should be good, man. I think that he has a great opportunity of, again, big stage also, you know, big eyeballs on you, not a pay-per-view, but eyeballs on you, and I think eyeball on you. And I think it's a great opportunity to harness it and do something great. So yeah, I'm going to call it just Shara by TKO in the first round. Then this is a fantastic fight that is flying under the radar completely. We have Marlon Chito Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. This is a crazy fight right here, ladies and gentlemen. Marlon coming off of the loss against Sean O'Malley, challenging for the title. A fight that left a lot of people just wanting more from Chito. We all see Chito as this crazy striker, really, really fast-paced dude. And if he proved one thing in the O'Malley fight was that, which is not good, but is that he can get cracked. Okay, he has a chin. Lucky for him, Davison was not lucky for him, but Davison was a finisher back when he was at flyweight, right? Obviously, if Davison, this being his second or third, I think it's his third fight at bantamweight. If you don't know, he was the former champion at flyweight. So this is a former champion that we're talking about here, guys, okay? Former champion at flyweight, had like 4 rematches back to back against Moreno. They just couldn't fight anybody else. I don't know why. For like 3 or 4 years straight, all they did was fight Davison versus Moreno back to back to back to back. I was like, what the fuck? But he had those wars. Then debuted at bantamweight, did great, and then fought at UFC 300 versus No Love. What's his name? Cody Garbrandt. Performed well, got the dub, I believe, by submission. And that proved to us that now he's a real contender, right? After you get past Cody Garbrandt, who's also a former champ, after you get past him, you're like, okay, now this guy's a serious contender for this division. And it's great. It's great because, look, we have 2 good high-level bantamweights fights this weekend, which one of them is definitely the title eliminator, which is Cory and Umar. But then we have this fight who potentially could fight the loser of that for then a title eliminator. So if Cory loses or if Umar loses, then, and let's say Davison wins, maybe Davison gets a title shot, or he just has one more and now he gets a title shot. And I think this is another similar situation to what happened a couple of months ago at like welterweight, or I don't know, it was middleweight. We have 2 fights, 4 guys. One of them is a clear contender fight, right? Obviously. But if Cory and Umar go out there and put on a little bit of a boring fight, okay? But then Chito and Davison go out there. Remember, Chito just challenged for the title. So are we not seeing this fight as also potentially a number 1 contender fight? Because this is what my point, right? If Cory and Umar put in a boring performance, but then Davison and Chito go out there and fucking wow everybody, and maybe someone gets a crazy flashy knockout, you steal some of that hype, you steal some of those eyeballs, some of that momentum, and now there's a real argument that this could be a number 1 contender fight, which is crazy. I think it depends. If Umar wins, I don't think he has a title shot. He just hasn't fought enough people ranked. And if Cory wins, obviously he gets a title shot. He's been waiting for it for a long time. So yeah, I guess it just depends on who wins. But again, Chito just lost against O'Malley. So if he wins, I don't think he's getting a title shot right away. He has to get one more. But then if Davison wins in a spectacular fashion, I do believe he gets a title shot. I think so. It has to, because he's a former champ. I think if you're a former champ and you go to another division, you don't really have to go through the ranks that much like a regular contender, because you already proved yourself at one division. He has 2, potentially 3 impressive wins at that division against top contenders, against former champions, and against former title challengers. So, I mean, I don't see how, if Davison wins in a spectacular fashion, how he's not also right there for a number 1 contender. So I think what happens is just the order, right? Let me give you the scenario. Davison wins, Cory Sandhagen wins, okay? Cory gets a title shot. Boom. He's right there. Let's say he loses. Let's say O'Malley beats him, right? Okay, well, now we have a clear next up contender in Davison Figueiredo. Or maybe Davison, again, but I wouldn't like this, but then maybe Davison then fights Umar for another number one contender fight. I don't think that makes a lot of sense to me. I think Davidson should just get a title shot right away. It also depends on O'Malley. If he defeats Cory, but then he has to take some time off, or if he takes some damage, then you know I want to keep Davidson waiting for a while. So I almost would have liked if this Chito and Davidson fight is in a month or two, especially because Chito, has he fully recovered from the O'Malley? I mean, he took some damage, bro. He took some damage against Sean O'Malley. So if he's fully ready to go, I don't know. Is he? Right? But then the timing would have been perfect. We're like, okay, the winner of Cory and Umar fights O'Malley. You let the winner of that take a few months off. And then you give Davidson, who just fought a few months before that, get the title shot. But now, because of the situation, if Davidson wins, you're going to make him wait for 6 months to a year for a title shot, which I think sucks because then the UFC will force him to take another fight against another fucking savage in the bantamweight division and potentially ruin, if that's a tough fight, if he loses, now that potentially ruins his opportunity, right? So, yeah, sorry I didn't break this fight much more down, but I think Chito, being more of a volume fighter, doesn't have a ton of finishes in the past fights that he's had. Has a couple of he had a rough night against Cory Sandhagen, I'll give you that. With Chito, also what I've talked to here a lot before is that with him, a lot of it is mental. I think when he's able to put it on, bro, when he's able to be awake and be there for the fight, he's one of the best bantamweights in the fucking world, bro. Okay? But when he's not able to breathe and he's not able to come out of his shell, like against Sandhagen or against O'Malley, which if you look at those two comparisons, right? Both high-level strikers. Both have a great understanding for distance, for angles. Both move very similarly, where they move side to side. They have crazy footwork. So now we see that twice Chito has struggled against very high-level strikers with movements, with angles. Okay, so we know that's not his forte. That's not Davidson. Davidson is not he's a good striker, don't get me wrong, and he was knocking dudes out of flyweight, but he doesn't have that extra level of understanding like O'Malley does and like Sandhagen does, He could train for it, get a boxing coach to work on your footwork and do that, but Davidson is a guy that I think focuses a lot more on getting the KO. He's also good on the ground. He submitted Cody, so he could definitely submit Chito if it comes down to that. But Chito's also good on the ground and that's stuffing takedowns. So it's gonna be a good fight, bro. When you don't know who's gonna win, that's how you know. Okay, this is gonna be a good fucking fight. And I don't want to make a prediction for this, bro. Similar situation where I'm a huge fan of Chito. I want him to win, but he had his shot. He unfortunately didn't really take advantage of it. So it's the way it goes. Now I think you give your shot to the next guy, However, if Chito's able to still get a win and still be there at the top, okay, then maybe down the line you see about another title shot or something. I'm not sure. Especially because, again, it's all mentality, right? It's all mental. He had a few moments against O'Malley and at the very end of the fight hurt him real bad with a body shot. That if that body shot happens earlier in the fight, who knows? O'Malley went to the floor. As soon as the bell rang, O'Malley dropped down because he was that much in pain, okay? That much in pain. So again, if that happens earlier in the fight, round 2, round 3, we have new champ. We have a new champ. So he just has to do those. He has to have those moments and wake up and be in the fight and implement his game plan early on. He's a little bit of a slow starter. Again, when he wants to, though, because we've also seen him do crazy shit in there, right? He had that great knockout against, I believe it was Frankie Edgar? He did good again. He did very good against Pedro Munoz. No, it was against Cruz. He broke his nose with a crazy kick. Yeah, I mean, and he did also KO'd Frankie Edgar. So yeah, bro, he has amazing striking when he wants it. It's mental. I feel like it's all mental. And, you know, speaking about that, for me, like, it's easier said than done, bro. I'm sitting here judging, and I've never stepped into a foot in an MMA gym. I might in the future, who knows. But yeah, it's easier said than done. You know, the dude just has to put it on. He has to be present and hopefully get the dub. I would love for Chito to get the dub. I'm a huge Chito fan. I was rooting for him when he fought O'Malley. I thought, oh, my boy Chito is next, bro. Okay, from Ecuador, Latino. So yeah, I would just want him to do well. He's a super nice guy, super genuine guy, funny dude on the mic too. So, you know, you love when a guy like that wins. So yeah, hopefully he's able to get something done. But yeah, fuck, I'm yapping a lot, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm yapping so much today. Official prediction, I would say Davidson by decision. Oof, a lot of decisions. That might not be great. Davidson by decision. Official prediction. Next up, we have El Cucuy, Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. Both of these guys, a little bit on the older side. Tony, unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, you know, coming off of like 7 losses in a row or something like that. It's just not great. I don't know how many times I'm going to sit here and predict a Tony Ferguson loss. I've done it in the past 4 or 5 fights that he's had. And yeah, man, I mean, but I will say he's been fighting some heavy contenders, bro. I mean, he fought Michael Chandler. He fought Bobby Green. He fought Paddy Pimblett. Like, he's been fighting some hard dudes, bro. Okay, it's not like he's just been coasting. He's had some tough matchups. And unfortunately, I think it's just been a combination of, you know, him not being on there physically because of his age, him not being older mentally because he's taken a lot of damage in his career. And like I said, his opponents just being fucking young bucks that are hungry and savage and explosive. Those are terrible matchups for Tony. Now, however, okay, he has a little bit of room to breathe. I'm not saying Michael Chiesa is not an easy fight. He's definitely not an easy fight. He's a very tough fight. But Michael Chiesa, a little bit on the older side as well. He is currently 36. Not that old. He's 4 years old, younger than Tony. He looks a little bit older. He's got a bunch of white hair on his beard. But coming off of 3 losses in a row. So that's why I'm saying, like, okay, this is not Tony going against Paddy Pimblett undefeated. This is not Tony going against fucking Michael Chandler, explosive striker finisher. You know, this is not Tony going against nobody like that. He's going against, okay, all right, let's slow down a bit, okay, and now we have a Michael Chiesa, a guy that's, I think, way better matchup for Tony. Way better matchup. Primarily a wrestler. Tony's also a good wrestler. You know, Tony is just a good MMA fighter. Like, I was trying to pinpoint Tony. Like, he's crazy off his back in jiu-jitsu. That's why a lot of people were giving him, you know, that Khabib fight. They were saying Tony might be the one to put a stop to that train. Because Tony's jiu-jitsu is nasty off his back, you know? So, usually Khabib likes to be on top, pressuring. So, who knows what would have happened there. Unfortunately, that fight never materialized or came to fruition for whatever reason. I heard that Tony had an injury and shit like that. And, you know, I was back then when fucking Khabib was pulling out of fights all the time and being a pussy. I'm kidding. But he is a pussy. So yeah, I mean, this is a very much comprehensive fight for Tony. This makes sense. Okay, this fight makes sense a little bit. It doesn't make sense that he's still fighting. I don't know what the situation is there. I don't know exactly what his contract situation is. If I would imagine the UFC would probably want him to retire. I think Dana was pretty clear at saying that in the past press conference that he was at, talking about Tony, that Tony probably should retire. You can't force a guy to retire though. And if he has, let's say he has like a six fight contract, he probably wants to play those out. You know, he probably wants to fight all of them, get his full amount of money paid that he's going to get paid, and then probably retire. You know, I don't think Tony has another contract renegotiation, and I don't know if the UFC will even want to give it to him. You know, one thing is like, yeah, you'll fight all you want while you're under contract, but once it runs out, the UFC, I think that's when they step in and they say, Tony, look, bro, enough is enough. Like, if it is for money that he's fighting, like, you know, give him a fucking commentating job or something, bro. And I hate saying this because I'm like, this is no disrespect for Tony. This is not disrespect at all. I love Tony. I'm a huge Tony fan. But why is he fighting? Why is he still fighting? That's the main question, you know? You know you're not going to be a top contender anymore. I mean, that ship sailed years ago with, you know, after the Gage fight and after the Oliveira fight, I think you can see pretty much that, okay, those are the guys that are at the top. I cannot compete with those. Therefore, I'm fucked, right? I mean, yeah, you can still have some good fights at guys that are, you know, ranked lower, right? But, bro, when you're losing 7 in a row, I mean, some guys lose 3 in a row and they retire, you know? Some guys lose 2, 3, 4 in a row and they retire. It kills them. But not Tony. Tony's still there, coming back. And, I mean, I respect that about him. I respect that. I'm like, hey, maybe he wants to get the dub. Maybe he wants to go out and retire on top, right? And if he wants to do that, I respect that. But what is it going to take? What is it going to take, right? Will you have to fight 10 times and then maybe get a dub if they give you the shittiest, lowest ranked guy possible with maybe one fight in the UFC or some guy when the UFC debuted? That's even worse because some of these guys that are now making their debuts are already killers, bro. So, you know, I want to see him retire. I mean, and I love Tony, and I hope I'm not disrespecting him, but like, if it's money, bro, like, you know, do a podcast, fucking try to do a show, try to be a commentator, like, do shit like that if it's money you need. Don't punish your body because you need money. And you would think that maybe he's good on money, right? Because, again, he's had some big fights. But I don't know. It's just tough, bro. It's very tough to see. I don't even want to predict this fight. It makes me depressed, honestly. I would love to see Tony get a win. I mean, like I said, if it's going to be against anybody, who were we kidding? Okay? Who the fuck were we kidding? We were joking to ourselves, okay? We were lying to ourselves. When we thought that Tony maybe had a chance against Patty, right? You know, against someone like a Michael Chandler or a Bobby Green, like, okay, maybe a better chance, but still super tough fights. But now, against Michael, I think he has the best chance he's had in years to get a dub. Well, against Nate Diaz, that was probably a good chance too, and he did okay against Nate Diaz, like I said. So I think that was a good opportunity, but also it was Nate Diaz's retirement fight, so like, he kind of had to win, you know? I don't know. Shit works out like that. Just weird sometimes. I don't know. He had to win that fight, so that was a tough fight for Tony. So this is the best opportunity he's had, for sure, in the last 8 fights to get a dub. Like, this is it. This is it. If you don't win this one, this is it, bro. Okay? If you don't win against a guy that's coming off 3 losses, back to back in Michael Chiesa. Dangerous guy, by the way. Don't get it twisted, though. Dangerous guy. Also explosive, good striking, but also better wrestling. But he fought last a year ago. So Tony has been a little more active, which is good. It's good, but also taking more damage. You know, maybe Michael, this year that he took off, he healed his body. He's probably not as injured or not have any injuries recently. I don't know, though. Maybe. I would hope that he's healthy. And he's younger. You know, he's younger. Not on this prime anymore, though. And you just have to face that. And you see that with 3 losses in a row. So this is Tony's best chance. And I'm going to predict. I'm going to go out there. I'm gonna go put it out there on a limb and say my official prediction for this is Tony Ferguson by decision. Yes, I said it. He has to win so he can retire. If he wins and retires, boom. He's good, bro. He's good. It's almost like his last 8 fights cancel out. And we just see him finally get the dub and finally retire on top. Like the savage we know he is. Bro, people forget. Tony at one point was one of the best lightweights ever. And again, lightweight. Deep ass division. Tough dudes to fight. At one point he was fucking just unstoppable, bro. Like I said, he was the one. He was the one. It was never supposed to be McGregor. He just kind of inserted himself. You know, he was the one that was going to put a stop to Khabib and the whole Dagestani shit train. Okay, I'm talking shit. Hey, but if you want to put money on Tony, that's not a bad, bro. He's a plus 500 underdog, bro. I'm gonna put $20 on Tony. I'm gonna put $500 on Tony. No, I'm kidding. I don't have money like that. Probably $20-$30. That's usually what I bet per fight. I usually bet like 20 or 30 per fight, or I break it into smaller amounts and I bet on more fights. You know, I don't do parlays, bro. I hate parlays. I despise parlays. Okay, I get it. They're fun. I get it. They're more money, obviously, but bro, it'd be like I go on like a 4 or 5 parlay and just one dude just fucks me up, bro. And I can't do that. I can't. I'd rather make a little bit, I'd rather make a little bit less, but still get some dubs here and there. Just betting individually. But yeah, should be fun. Should be a fun fight, bro. Should be a fun card overall. I'm excited to see it. I think hopefully it's at a decent time. Nope, it's not. It's at 2 p.m. The main card is at 2 p.m. So it's an early one, so that's good. Hey, also, I was thinking, oh shit, I might not be able to, but I was thinking of doing a live fight watch companion or whatever the fuck you want to call it, watch party or whatever for this event. I might not be able to do it though. I'll have to double check. I might have plans that day. I think I'm gonna go out of town that day. I'm not sure. I have to double check. But if I am able to do it, I'll do it. I swear to God. If I am able to, I'll do it. It also sucks, bro. I was in an apartment a few months ago and I had Google Fiber and my internet was prime, right? Fiber is the best. And then I moved. I'm renting a house now. And I didn't check before I moved. I didn't have Google Fiber available. So I am stuck with Spectrum, which is good internet, but the upload speed is dog shit. So I might not be able to stream that much that well. That's another thing that's kind of slowing me down. But I'll check it out. I'll check my internet and then I'll check my schedule, guys. I'll check my schedule. I'll ask my assistant. But I'll see what's up about that. And I think it should be fun. I think it should be fun to have like a live watch party or a fucking, how do they call it? Fight companion. So yeah, should be fun. And it's an early card. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching once again. I really appreciate all of you. Don't forget, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and your week. Peace.